The Jurassic Park franchise is one of the most classic and beloved film series in movie history, and it's also one of my personal favorites. Based on the amazing novel by Michael Crichton, the first movie would release in 1993, gaining so much attention, and for its time it was considered a revolutionary film. Having 3 movies in total, the trilogy finished, and the movie franchise wasn't picked back up until 2015, where Jurassic World released, with a brand new cast of characters and stories. With the trilogy concluding in 2022, a new Jurassic film would be made to kickstart another trilogy, which would be released this month actually, Jurassic World Rebirth. I just saw this movie yesterday, and in this video I'm going to give my own review of the movie and give my final rating out of 10 by the end of this video. I will be going over some of the positives I see in this film and some of the negatives. Before we get started, however, here's a spoiler warning for the movie and all the past previous films. Now, let's get right into it. I'm not gonna hold back, I really enjoyed this movie. This new film introduces a brand new cast of characters to follow with and a different story to tell, which picks up after Jurassic World Dominion. Let's begin with characters, and this ties into the beginning of the movie. The beginning was kind of iffy for me, as we're not personally introduced to the characters. We're told their names, their statuses, and the journey and situation they're embarking on and facing. However, as the journey begins, we get some of the backgrounds of these characters, and they slowly make them likable and give enough for the audience to care about them. While they're not deeply fleshed out, for what has been given, I think it is enough for the audience to like and at least care about them. Sora, for example, is introduced as a skilled special operative, who in a certain mission has lost a friend and it has affected her so much. In the beginning, we see her motive for going on this mission, and that was for the large amount of money she was offered. She was in it for the gain. However, throughout this journey, we see her make new friends and care for other people, and we see how the characters she interacts with change her slowly into now making this mission a motivation to help people and realize that the money that's given is not worth it at all. And the big character that has impacted her is Dr. Henry Loomis, who is the nerdy professor of the movie, who is introduced as one of the more genuine people of the group, next to Duncan Kincaid. He embarks on this journey not just to see the childhood animals he's been wanting to see, but sees a chance to really help people. He's the one who tells us that the mission they're going on and the reward should be given to people all over the world, not to keep it closed off in limits. He also has that childlike sense of wonder and appreciation for the creatures and nature, which is always fun to see. He's very likable and genuine from start to end. It's why he's my personal favorite character. The next best character who I think I consider better than Zora is Duncan Kincaid. From the beginning of the movie, we see how he failed to really be there and protect his family, mainly his little child, and we see how he deeply regrets this. Throughout this movie, he sees workers, people that he cares for, die around him on this mission, and this affects him greatly, and his character comes to a full circle in the end when he makes a noble sacrifice to save the people he was left with. There are other characters in this movie that don't really carry that same type of impact, but some I see potential for. Like Xavier Dobbs, who is someone I dislike from the first introduction to him. So in the movie, along with the main cast of characters, we also get this family of a father, 2 daughters, and the eldest daughter's boyfriend, Xavier. They get stranded on this island with the other characters. Xavier is introduced as lazy and not someone who is willing to take any responsibility. He kind of just ignores and is also disrespectful to his girlfriend's, Teresa's, father. However, throughout this movie, we explore him a little more and realize that there's a little more to him than his introduction, as he willingly risks his life for his girlfriend and constantly looks out over the family and even admits his guilt to the father about his flaws, which I can see him greatly improving in the next film he appears, if he appears. Getting into the topic of the story, it's really nothing new. A group of people on a mission get stranded on an island filled with dinosaurs, and they get chased while trying to survive. Sound familiar? Sure, the story isn't the most original thing in the world, but I think the film makes up for it for its sense of adventure, characters, and the new creatures they introduce. The dinosaurs aren't the same ones that we would normally see. They are mutated dinosaurs that were scrapped here on this island to roam for themselves, So you'll get weird mutated creatures like the D-Rex, for example. You'll get some original creatures there too, like the T-Rex and the Ankylosaurus, but it shows off more of the new creatures. I think tie in a brand new setting, enjoyable characters, good and intense action, and new dinosaurs to see makes up for the lack of originality in the story. There's also bits and pieces here that you can see the movie using to try and sort of build up for the next movie, like some of the references to the original films. Like, for example, Henry mentioning the fact that he was learning under Dr. Alan Grant, which was surprising to me because the original Jurassic World film didn't mention any characters tied into the original. Sure, there were scenes of places, but no real connection personally, so there's something there. I know they mentioned Hammond, but that's not really anything personal there. And the fact that there's now this new island with a bunch of mutated creatures that could be more deadly than the original dinosaurs is something that could be used to build upon and be explored in the next movies if they choose to make them. Other things like the CGI and effects, the creatures themselves, the soundtrack, the action, it's all amazing, very well done. I also love how this movie decided to adapt the T-Rex scene of the book of the dinosaur swimming in the water. That part is straight ripped from the books. It is so cool to see adapted in this movie. And I know the themes of this movie may have been done before, but I always think it's good to remind ourselves of this lesson about the abuse of creation and acting like we can pretend to be God in creating these new creatures and dominating nature in this kind of way. As a Christian myself, I like to explore and kind of get reminded of these lessons here. And it's something Henry kind of hammers at throughout the movie. I love how Henry mentions that while humans do have dominion over the animals, they also have that dominion to diminish themselves in it, and abusing this kind of power will lead to that. And those are the positives I have to say about this movie. Now, let's get into some of the negatives. Again, as I'll mention in any movie review, I hate that God's name, or title to be exact, has been misused a few times in this movie. Another thing is, as much as I think the family and the boyfriend were good enough to have some impact on certain characters in the film, I think it could have been done without them. I do think including the family storyline gave the movie more baggage to carry. Really, realistically looking at it, the only major effect this family has on the main cast was only for Duncan really, and that could have been done without the family being included. So I think the family storyline did drag this movie down a bit because it's just unnecessary baggage, and while it did come to a nice ending and also the nice moments throughout the movie, I think overall the film would have been better if they didn't include the part of the story and focus more on the main cast of characters. It would have given them more time to explore this island and the creatures as well. The next negative is the villain of the movie, and the villain is just very generic. He is unlikable, he is evil, he is money hungry. Not too terrible, but not too great either. It's just kind of a reused concept at this point. There was a moment in the first act when the villain was willing to let a young girl die when they were in trouble, all because she was threatening to call for help on this mission that is supposed to be secret. It's that little moment that could have been utilized and to explore more in depth of this character and give them more exploration, and it could have followed it up with more exploration, but after it didn't really happen. So the villain of the movie, he's evil, but he's forgettable. Another negative I have is I think we should have seen more of the dinosaurs and their history. For me at least, I felt like there was so many scenes with the characters rather than dinosaurs, and while I think that's cool and all, I think it also took away a little bit of the screen time to kind of show off more of the new creatures. For example, I think that the D-Rex should have gotten more screen time. While he dominated the atmosphere for the scenes he was in, I wanted to see more and kind of explore the history of this dinosaur. While the movie does touch upon it, it more so brushes the past of these creatures off, which I think should have been explored more in this movie. Of course, the reason for these dinosaurs was for more attraction, and since they costed a lot, they weren't killed. This is something I see missed, but also something that can be redeemed. I think to make it more interesting is that there should be more of a deeper reasoning for these dinosaurs, which can lead to some interesting moral questions like the ability and progression of creation. A deeper reasoning for these dinosaurs could be for more power to certain people, to be more controlling, to be a threat, which would make the history of these animals more interesting and make the build-up more interesting. They can still do this in the next movies, but I think if they do, it should have been hinted at in this movie. That's just my take though. And overall, I think those are my final thoughts on this movie. Of course, it doesn't surpass certain films done in the past, but I do think it's solid for a start, and I definitely do see a lot of potential for future movies, and I really hope that it takes that opportunity to be great. Some of the things I see that is a step towards the right direction is the immediate recognition of older characters, like how Henry stated that he was learning under Alan Grant. This type of connection and referencing early on could smoothly reintroduce the old characters from the past two trilogies, unlike in Dominion, where they just reintroduce everyone there, while in Rebirth, they're slowly mentioning and hinting at them. And I really hope this new trilogy does succeed. Overall, I think I'm going to give this movie a 7.5, maybe an 8 out of 10. If you watched the movie, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments down below, and I'll make sure to read them. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to support my channel by subscribing, liking, or sharing. Any of those would be very much appreciated. I hope you all have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. God bless.